Hello, Hearties, and welcome to the Hearties Hotline, your connection to Hope Valley, hosted by Caroline, myself, Cammie, and Kaycee. Thanks to Brian Bird for letting us use the music on our show. Now grab that paprika-filled shepherd's pie and sit back and relax. Here we go.
Welcome back, Hearties, to the Hearties Hotline, your connection to Hope Valley. I'm your host, Kaycee, and today we are here to talk about When Calls the Heart Season 1, Episode 6, These Games.
And boy, are some games being played.
Let the games begin. But before we get into that, let me just read you the summary really quickly. Elizabeth is feeling caught between overprotective Jack and new miner Billy Hamilton. But when Jack tells her he has proof Billy lied to her, Elizabeth decides she's had enough. Abigail suggests Jack try a gentler approach to reach Elizabeth.
Let the games begin.
Let the games begin, indeed. And Hearties, we have tried lots of different methods, and tonight we are going to have some fun. You will see a theme. We've decided we're going to do a little theme tonight. We're going to do a little boxing match between Jack Thornton and Billy Hamilton. But before we get into these games, see what I did there?
Ding, ding, ding.
I just want to shout out a couple of our friends here at Edify Films. You can get merchandise from Edify Films right now, such as the hats and the shirts and everything When Calls the Heart, including puzzles and cookbooks and DVDs and masks and all the things. So go check them out. And then also our friends at the Bundle Game have a special code for you if you use Hearties Hotline to buy yourself a When Calls the Heart bundle game. So make sure you go ahead and check Bundle Game out and check out Edify Films. Thanks, guys. Let's get into the episode. We are going to segue first into the triangle of Dewitt, Mary, and Caleb. So last time, there were a lot of unfinished storylines, and this storyline was one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we start off with Dewitt and Mary at church. And what did you guys think about Mary and Dewitt's conversation about how Mary's like, you know, I really like you, but I also have my son and he comes first. Like, what did you guys think about that?
Yeah, like he's so patient. Like, I'm sure like most men wouldn't have like been okay with like dealing with the son, you know, but like he's just so sweet.
He is very sweet.
It became obvious that the evening did not end well because she said, I apologize for how it ended. Because he said, but he says to her, thank you again for a lovely evening. And she says, I don't quite know how to answer that. I'm sorry for the way it ended. So obviously things didn't end incredibly favorably.
Yeah. Or it could have been one of those things where her son just commanded all the attention and she was kind of like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
He's like off, you know,
In his room.
Doing
like
something.
Yeah. Getting food, drink, whatever.
It's funny because I can't call the man a hypocrite because he's being so incredibly amazing right now. But he says, I'm not so good at waiting. I'm like, dude, you are the epitome. You are the epitome of waiting, and you're doing a fabulous job.
No kidding. Well, Jack advises him. Now we'll get to Jack in a little bit, but essentially he advises Dewitt to kind of talk Caleb up, you know, just kind of be sweet like honey, as a wise woman once told Jack.
Oh, where did he get that idea?
I don't know.
Little birdie
told him. But Dewitt tries all of these things. He tries to go fishing with him. He tries to like give him like tips on the fishing, tips on you know, stickball, baseball, to throw the knuckler. And then he even does the
he gives him one of his lures. And I mean, lures take forever, especially back in 1910. And so for him to give him a lure, that was, I think that's a bigger deal than we realize.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Dewitt is doing all of these things, trying to basically bribe Caleb into liking him. And you can't help but feel bad for him because he's just so nice. Like, how can you be mad at somebody like that, you know?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I mean, Caleb is being awfully stubborn.
He is.
But, you know, an 11-year-old kid is going to want what he wants. And just like he said to his mother, you can't make me like him. Tell him to leave me alone. So, you know, when you're dead set against somebody, then you're going to find ways to get angry.
Right. Especially if you think that that person's trying to replace your dad. Because at this point, in this situation, that's all Caleb is seeing. He's just seeing this male figure who's trying to court his mama and trying to be the man of the house over Caleb. And you know, that's hard. That's hard when a new person steps into your life and you have that perspective, because they haven't had that conversation yet. Like, Mary hasn't said anything about like, they didn't talk about DeWitt. They were saying it was
he just showed up.
Yeah. Like, there was no reassurance.
He showed up after James's introduction. That scared anybody off.
I mean, But the one thing that I noticed too is during the game, the egg toss, Caleb, and this is the part where I did feel really bad for him. When they're doing the egg toss, they're doing a really good job. They're catching it, they're throwing it, all these things. And DeWitt has finally, he's cracked that door open just enough to start gaining that trust.
Crack the shell.
But Caleb gets distracted by the other man saying, hey son, or something like that.
Come on, son.
Yeah.
Come on, son, you can do it.
And obviously DeWitt's not paying attention to that. He's just so focused on Caleb. He's got blinders on, so he's not paying attention to the other ones. But
well,
Caleb,
he probably didn't even hear him.
I was thinking he didn't hear him.
Yeah. So like when Caleb gets distracted by that line and then he just flips, I felt bad for him because it's like a trigger, you know?
Oh, sure.
You know,
I
felt bad.
And the dads didn't they died recently, you know, within months. So maybe if it was a longer time in between, he might have been a little bit better. But this is still fresh in his mind. My dad died, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do feel bad for him.
Well, and according to all accounts, his dad was amazing.
Yes.
That he absolutely idolized his father. And so this man is smaller, he's more mild-mannered, he's not as strong, he has different strengths.
Yes.
You know, it's just different. And kids don't like different, especially when it's this fresh.
Yes. And in Caleb's mind too, if you remember, the egg toss in his mind was father and son. It wasn't until DeWitt said, oh no, he said men and boys. So hearing, hey son, and then it's almost, you're backpedaling. You're like, oh, and I can see in Caleb's mind, he's like, you totally lied to me to get to play this game with me. Cause look at all the other fathers and sons here, you know? In Caleb's mind, in his very young mind. So there's just a lot there for poor Caleb. But then we have the tug of war in which Caleb roots for the red team. First of all, I don't care if you don't like DeWitt, but come on, Mountie Jack is on the red team. I mean, on the blue team. He's on the blue team. Can we at least?
How dare you root against Mountie Jack?
How dare you?
Well, and it's one thing to kind of fluff him off or, shoo him away like a fly, but that was just mean.
Yeah.
And
that was rude.
That was just mean and rude. And you didn't say things like that to your elders back then.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a lot more common now. It shouldn't be, but it is. But you didn't say things like that back then to an adult. And for him to just be that cruel to him, just to jab him a little further.
Yeah.
It's just that was not good form. Bad form, Caleb. Bad form.
That was very below the belt.
Yeah.
Very below the belt. However,
really quick. Can I say something really fast?
Sure.
So I interviewed Laura Bertram for my blog a while back, and she said something so interesting about that scene. She said that when Caleb walks off, he kind of is going in one direction, and Mary starts walking, and Laura saw this whole situation as a fork in the road. And so she starts walking, and instead of following after Caleb, she starts walking the other way. It's almost as if she's choosing her future path. And I thought, wow, I mean, I know what it is to go into a scene and look for context and all that, but that was 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And, for her to dig that deep over 2 seconds of footage, I just, my mind was blown. I went, wow, that's incredible. And so I went back and I watched that scene after we talked, and I said, yep, she definitely leans a little bit more that way.
I did notice that too, and I was wondering if it was a symbolic thing.
It was. So, there's your answer.
We'll have to link that blog in the comments. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So we have had a very rocky situation for Caleb and Dewitt and Mary, but it's okay, because everything becomes clear as day. Dewitt he understands the situation. He was also once a young boy. He finds Caleb and he apologizes for overstepping. But yeah, I gotta say, this heart-to-heart between Caleb and Dewitt is just so incredibly moving, and it makes complete sense, because we find out that Dewitt didn't have a dad growing up. So it's almost like because he didn't have a dad, now he could go one of two ways. He could be a complete jerk, or he can overcompensate. And in this situation, he completely overcompensated because he didn't have
I've been playing pretend father.
Right. And so, like, what did you guys think about this conversation?
It made me cry again. Like, all of season 1, different episodes made me cry. And it just made me cry. I just loved how he talked to him, and like he said about his dad, he didn't have a dad growing up, and he said, but from the stories I hear, your dad was one of the best. And I just thought that was sweet. And then finally that clicked with Caleb, and I just thought that was just, it made me cry. I just loved it.
I really appreciated the fact that Dewitt didn't make it about himself.
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say that. Yes.
Yeah. And he makes it about Caleb, and he makes it about Caleb's dad. And he does explain, like, hey, you know what, buddy, I didn't have this growing up, and you are so incredibly lucky. And I think that just really, it switches in Caleb's mind. And he realizes that he had been dealt a pretty terrible situation in the fact that his father passed away, but he had an amazing dad, you know?
Yeah.
And so I really appreciated that. Like, I really appreciated the fact that Dewitt wasn't like, well, you know, I could be a great father for you, and I'm a great person, and I can do this for you, and I could provide for your mother, and I care about you, and he just made it about Caleb.
But at the same time, he took all the blame on himself. He apologized. I've been playing pretend father. I envy you. You know, he took everything on him.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't afraid to talk about the situation with his father, but he didn't harp on him. He talked about the effect that not having a father had on him and everybody around him. And one thing I thought that was so interesting, we don't see the character of Mary as the strongest of the group.
Right.
You know, we look at her as the shy one. We look at her as the one who's a little bit more mousy and not going to speak up and not as brave. And DeWitt says she wasn't talking about his mother. She wasn't strong and brave like your ma. Which in one sentence, he is showing how much he adores Mary and how much he thinks of her because he has built her up. And I mean, when you think about it, Mary is strong and Mary is brave doing what she is doing. We just don't think of her as Abigail,
right?
You know, or even
like Kat.
Florence or Carla or Kat. Yeah, we don't think of her as the really strong one putting forth all of that bravery. We don't think of her as that, but she has her own bravery and her own strength. And then putting that very last sentence, I'd give my right arm for a family like yours. He was asking for permission to be a part of the family. And oh my gosh, just waterworks.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. It just goes to show the amazing writing of these kind of difficult topics, because it could have been written completely differently and we could have had a different outcome. But there's just even though it's not a major storyline, you know, For When Calls the Heart, it has a
major effect.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very impactful.
Yeah.
And then Caleb invites Mr. Graves over for some pie. Completely surprising Mary. Mary was like, oh, hey, Caleb. Oh,
hello,
Mr. Graves.
Let me like get the pies and the desserts and everything. But I also love the fact that Caleb's like, hey, Mr. Graves, my mom makes the best pie. It's so
Don't
cute.
take the shortbread. Go for the pie.
Yeah, the pie.
And the first thing that DeWitt says when they walk in the door, I don't want to be any trouble, Mary. I'm just like, you.
Oh,
he is one great guy.
He is.
I mean, he's the kind of person that you wish were walking down the street nowadays.
Yeah.
Just amazing person, amazing man.
Yes. And I mean, we'll see more of them up until season 2, but since they're a focus right now, let me ask you guys a question. What would you have liked to see happen for Mary and DeWitt had they stayed in Hope Valley?
Oh my gosh, everything.
A family. I have more kids, you know. I just want everyone to have kids in Hope Valley. Hope Valley.
Bring on all the babies.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see Laura helping out in the cafe more, because they had that little bit of her taking a job when I think Clara was away in season 2. And she's such, they talk about what an amazing cook she is and what an amazing baker she is. And I just think that it would have been fun to see her helping out in the cafe, but just another beautiful, in love, happy couple in Hope Valley.
Yeah.
It's we don't see enough of those, in my opinion.
We don't.
Because there can never be enough. There can never be enough happy couples everywhere.
Yeah, and I feel like you could do so many more storylines too with like a married couple, because you always have like the new couples, you have the young married and like the young in love couples. You have the couples that just got married. They would be like I don't want to say the old married couple, but compared to everybody else, I would have loved to see Dewitt be part of the bromance with the dudes in Hope Valley.
Yeah.
He when he was helping with the church, and even with Jack and his conversation with him at the bar, they had such great like bro chemistry. That's
they really did.
Like I don't know how else to put it, but like he just fit right in.
Romance.
He did absolutely.
And I think it's because his personality is he's a little more quiet, introspective. He's got a
very calming influence.
He's very calm. He like kind of like Lee, but Lee is a lot more extroverted, I would say, in that matter.
Yeah.
But
I feel
like
he's like Lee.
Yeah, I feel like they would have all really gotten along, and like I feel like DeWitt and Lee could have been like, I don't know, the Timber Kings, or
DeWitt would have been a great employee for Lee, because Lee's more the leader, but DeWitt is kind of a right-hand man or manager kind of person.
Yes.
So I think they would have done really well together. Yeah. Who's afraid of the big black hole? The big black hole. The big black hole.
The Graves family, come back to Hope Valley. We miss you.
Yes.
I heard
Season 9.
I heard Neil Fernley, I believe, talking. I saw a video of him talking to a group of Hearties at the Hearties family reunion. I can't remember what year it was, but he said, "I know that all of you are wondering why you didn't see more of the children, and the boys especially. They grew up too fast. They got too tall, you know." And I just went, so what?
Well, you know what? Now it would make sense as to why Caleb's like a grown kid. You know, bring him back. That is definitely one family I would love to see in future seasons. At least maybe stop by. It could be like a 2-episode arc. Maybe they're traveling back west or back east, or
maybe they never left. They just popped out again.
Yeah. Surprise! We're here.
Surprise! We've been out here the entire time.
Well, Hearties, let us know what you guys think about the Graves family. Let us know what you think about Mary, DeWitt, and Caleb. What are they up to now? Let us know. Okay, you guys, it is now time. We need to bring out the boxing gloves.
Ding, 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 ding. Round 1.
Hearties, we have a little boxing match going on between Billy Hamilton and Jack Thornton. And there are lots of points, lots of digs, lots of jabs, lots of right hooks, lots of karate chops going on here. So we're going to have a little fun today. We are going to have a little fun today. We're going to go and do a play-by-play of the whole Billy, Elizabeth, Jack triangle. Welcome to Bear versus Skunk. Cammie, let's go through round 1.
Corner number 1, Billy the Skunk Hamilton. Corner number 2, Constable Jack Bear Thornton. Let's get ready to rumble! Thornton goes in for a quick 1-2 punch when he gets Thatcher alone. But Thatcher comes right back at him with a jab to the face with the snare of did you look into everybody else's history or just Billy's? Then Thornton comes in with a tiny little jab to the gullet, being incredibly pleasant. But then Hamilton tags Thatcher out, comes right back in with a jab to the face of his love for geology. And the crowd boos! Boo! Round 2. Ding, 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 ding.
Take us through round 2, Kaycee.
We have here Mr. Billy Hamilton and Mr. Jack Thornton at the bar of the saloon. Boo. things are ramping up in the boxing ring here, and Mr. Jack Bear Thornton decides he is going to buy a round of drinks for Mr. Billy Hamilton.
Point for Thornton!
Things are not as they appear. And what Billy doesn't see is he's got a left hook coming to him when Jack Thornton notices that his watch has different initials and BH. There's one thing that Jack is not accounting for, and it is the fact that Billy says he has the upper hand and he's gonna steal the heart of Miss Elizabeth Thatcher.
Sucker punch to the face!
We've got here lots of points being swung around. Right now it looks as though there is a tie. Will there be a tiebreaker in round 3 when we go to the cake auction? Cammie, take it away.
Round 3! Ding, 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 ding! Oh goodness, folks, it's getting heated now. We don't know which blows are being jabbed by whom. We got $1, we got $1.75, we got $2, and finally we get the jab to the face with the $3. Thornton's down, but oh no, he's getting back up. He's getting back up, and he comes back for a tug of war. Oh, Thornton's holding his own. Keep pulling, Jack, keep pulling, but no! Thornton is down again. Is he getting back up? Is he getting up? Oh, he's staggering. He's staggering. Hamilton comes at him again, but he gets out of the way. He's up. He's up, folks. He's up.
Round 4 for Kaycee.
Billy Hamilton thinks he's got it in the bag, but what he doesn't know is that he is being accused of being a thief by Mr. Jack Thornton. Jack has his accomplice, Mrs. Cat Montgomery, and they have set a trap for Billy Hamilton. So, middle of the night, the stakes are getting higher. We see a shadowed figure climbing into the window of Cat Montgomery's home, and there's a takedown by Jack Thornton. And we see fists going around, and we see bodies being slammed on the ground, and we see punches, and we see rolling, and we see spectators coming out of their houses at night to see who is there. And Kat says she thinks it's Billy Hamilton, but the face appears and it is not Billy Hamilton. And there goes Jack Thornton's good name, because he has wrongly accused somebody of stealing. We continue on into Mr. Billy Hamilton, because he's big stuff right now. He did not steal. He has a good name. He's got his little shoulders patted back. And he thinks he's got this in the bag. He is going to win the heart of Miss Elizabeth Thatcher. And he goes and he mentions that she must have grown up with 2 sisters, because she's grown up with such female tenderness around her, and that she is like a red, red rose. But what he doesn't realize is Miss Elizabeth Thatcher is onto him, and she is about to take out her secret weapon. She is saying to him that she's been disinherited. Poor Elizabeth. Poor Elizabeth has no money.
Bless her heart.
Her dream has been to go up to the north and educate the uncultured. And what does Billy say? Wherever you go, I will go. Unbeknownst to Billy Hamilton, Elizabeth is on to him. And that concludes round 4. Who's gonna win? Will it be Billy? Will it be Thatcher? Will it be Thornton? We don't know until Cammie, you share what happens in round 5. The stakes are at its all-time highest.
What's this, folks? What's happening? Thatcher is crossing the line over to Thornton's side, and they're shaking hands. I think we have an alliance formed. She tags Thornton. He goes in. It's just Thornton and Hamilton face to face. The face-off begins. Hamilton has the advantage. He's on the higher ground. But what he doesn't know is the Mounties got the strategy of the century. He gets knocked to the ground and... It's Thornton for the knockout! Da-da-da!
Da-da-da.
Da-da-da! Da-da-da-da-da-da! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da! Thornton and Thatcher are the champions!
Woo! And that, my friends, is the quick and dirty version of the bear, the skunk, and the deer.
Boom!
There you have it, folks. The boxing match of Billy and Jack. We had a lot of fun randomness coming up with that. But let's go into a little deep dive here. So let me ask you guys a question. This question came up to me as I was watching this episode, trying to watch it with a critical eye. Is Billy Elizabeth's first beau? Obviously we don't know. She could have had suitors in Hamilton all lined up, but just the way she's acting in these last two episodes, she acts as though she's never had a boyfriend. She's just very captivated and very charmed and very like wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, hanging on to every word he's saying up until obviously the end. But what do you guys think?
It seems like even if it's not her first one, it might be like still new to her, like this is her first adult, relationship. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's her first one. She hasn't had legions of suitors. She hasn't, her younger sister has had more suitors than she has. We find that out later.
Mm-hmm.
But she is still the second daughter of the most powerful and most wealthy shipping tycoon in Eastern Canada. So I maybe even the country. Mm-hmm. So I would venture to say no. This is not her first. This is not her first beau. However, like Caroline said, this is the first time that a man has shown interest in her on her own. Mm-hmm. And
yeah.
I still remember the first time I got asked out on a date in college. Very, very different. I don't know. There was something about the fact that I was on my own. Mm-hmm. But very, very different being asked out in college than it was being asked out at home when I was in high school. Yeah. So that might have something to do with it. The fact that the fact that she is experiencing this for the first time out on her own,
outside of society and outside of
proper. That's what I was just gonna say. You read my mind. He's not a society man who is trying to court her properly and all that. She's trying to break away from all that. So he's a man who is showing a very overt interest in her. But he's everything that he's not everything that she was trying to get away from. So, and things are rocky with her and Jack, because I think that she very much wanted Jack to be her first beau, even with the argument or not her first beau on her own.
Right.
But when he said he was a confirmed bachelor, it was kind of like oh, well, fine.
You saw that switch when he said he did Mounties don't have wives.
Yes, you saw that huge switch. And so I think that she was just thinking, okay, fine. Well,
yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Interesting conversation there. The next question I have for you guys is Jack's visit to Abigail.
Abigail was his coach in the corner, rubbing his shoulders. Okay, Thornton, you got this. You know?
I find it very interesting. Like it's interesting because Abigail, she's older, she's wiser, she's a mom. I mean, she had Peter when he was still alive and stuff. But I appreciated the fact that she didn't beat around the bush with him. She was just like, listen, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. What do you guys think about this relationship that Jack and Abigail are now forming?
Oh, it's perfect.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so sweet.
It's the perfect outlet because he can't talk to Elizabeth that way yet. We, in later episodes, they have a very comfortable and confiding relationship, but not right now. And, Abigail becomes that big sister mother type of figure that can, that if he were in high school in modern times, it would be, okay, now what is she like? How do I get her attention? Oh, okay, why did she say that to me? What do you know? He's getting the scoop.
Yeah.
He's getting the scoop on her. So yeah, it's the perfect way. It's the perfect way. I have to tell you, I was so sad when I saw this because it's not in the episode. In the preview for the season 1 pilot, when it was first coming on to air, I looked it up, and in that scene, there's just a couple of lines that go back and forth between them, and Jack, I can't quote it word for word, but Jack says something to the effect of, why does everybody keep saying that I'm attracted to her? And Abigail says, perhaps because you give them cause. And when I saw that, I just went, oh, why didn't they put that in the episode? That is perfect. So, I loved that. And I so wish that they had put it in the episode, but they probably cut it because of timing.
Yeah.
But
I think there were some other things too in that scene that had been cut, because I feel like I remember something way back when seeing, like, there was definitely more dialogue going on there between Jack and Abigail. But yeah, Jack, I mean, remember last week we were basically saying, Jack, foot in mouth, Thornton, you need to stop it. This was his intervention. Abigail got the foot and just yanked it out.
Bless his heart, he doesn't know.
Oh dear Jack, dear Jack. Another point I wanted to talk about, the thievery thing.
Yeah.
Was it fair for Jack to automatically call Billy out and assume that he was the one stealing everything? Like, did Jack have enough cause? Obviously, he had to do his job and catch the thief, but he was doing it, in my opinion, very biasedly.
I was thinking that too. Like, if Elizabeth didn't show interest to Billy, would he still be like suspecting Billy as the thief? You know what I mean?
Right. Because there are there's like a dozen other miners there that are more scoundrelly and a little more shifty, maybe a little more like gruff.
So I think that he was a little bit unfair with that. I definitely think that he was put on the alert because of Billy. Remember, we said last week that we often forget that it was Jack's job to make sure that Elizabeth stayed safe. We forget, even this close to the beginning, we forget that he was given a strict charge to keep Elizabeth Thatcher safe. So he's the Mountie for the whole town, but she's the reason he's there.
That's
And
true.
so maybe it was a little bit unfair, but the fact that this guy was really smooth talking and getting really close to Elizabeth, I think it was almost like he was trying to kill two birds with one stone.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question. What would her father say if he saw this interaction with Billy going on? You know, she says, I appreciate your concern, but I already have a father. And it hit me. What would Daddy be saying?
Daddy would be saying, he is not a man of society. Get away from my daughter.
I mean, he thought
if he didn't like
was
Jack.
bad. Yeah.
I know. If he didn't like Jack, he is not going to like Billy.
I mean, but what would Father be saying if he was seeing this interaction? You know, no social media to take a picture and tag Dad in it.
Right. Right. So Elizabeth, she's got a lot to learn, and one of those things that she has to learn is how to properly bake, which includes smashing eggs and burning cake. Oh, bless her heart. And also
was perfect. I'm not a total beginner. Smash. Oh man.
Like, she takes that thing and she's like, smack. And I'm like, it's an egg.
And she doesn't know the first thing about cooking or baking.
And it makes me think of Erin's brownie video that she made in quarantine in April.
Yes, the soupy brownie. Oh, bless her heart.
Yes, bless her. It made me think of that. It made me laugh.
Oh my goodness.
And not to mention the cake is like half an inch tall.
Oh my gosh.
And they paid $3.
Especially after Florence's red velvet, beautifully decorated and frosted cake, you got this itty bitty little thing that probably makes a sound when you put it on the plate.
And they fought for it.
They did. I will say with this cake auction, I really love that it was a callback to the original movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really liked that. I thought that was super fun.
I'm digressing here, but there was another callback to the original movie, which I have missed every single time, except this time that I watched it for the podcast. When the midwife in a book comes.
Yes.
She says, I read about it in my aunt's
diary.
journal.
Yes.
I went, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, so there are a couple of callbacks, which were really fun. Like, they're little Easter eggs here.
Yeah.
And then back to the cake, when she confronts Billy and Jack. And Billy, you basically smooth talks his apology and then walks away with the cake.
Well, but she says, stop lying. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I mean, she got him.
Yeah,
she got him.
There. She got him good there. But my favorite part is when she tells Jack, why do you keep smiling?
Stop with all the smiling.
That made me laugh.
That line it just reminds me of an old married couple. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just my relationship with my husband when we're just being very stubborn and he's trying to like smooth things over and he's being ridiculously nice for whatever weird reason, and I'm still in a really bad mood, you know?
And you just say, cut it out.
Stop it.
Like, stop.
Nope, you're not the only one. I am guilty of the same demeanor.
Yeah, it just made me laugh because I was like, man, they're acting like an old married couple right now. So going on to Billy. I mean, Billy's time is coming to an end here. I mean, he can only be so smooth for so long. But one thing that tips off Elizabeth is the fact that Abigail starts humming My Love is Like a Red, Red Rose as Carla is in labor and they're trying to calm Carla down enough so she can deliver the baby. And she asks Kat, what's that song? And, Kat says, oh, it's, A Red, Red Rose by Robert Burns, etc. And like, this next interaction that Billy has with Elizabeth, and he's still smooth talking, but he mentions that she has 2 sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot believe that he would be so careless. I
I
mean,
know.
it's called guilty knowledge. We all know what it is. You know, he knows it, she knows it, so that could have easily been missed because she could have just assumed, oh yeah, I told him.
Yeah.
But thank heaven she was smart enough to remember, I never told him that. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, how could he have been so careless?
Mhm.
He thought he had it in the bag. Mm-hmm.
You can only keep the front so long.
Yeah.
You can only keep it so long before the truth comes out, my friends.
It's true. It's true. And this part here is also kind of another callback to Aunt Elizabeth when she starts telling him how she wants to go to the northern parts of Canada in the wild and educate the uncultured up there. Because now in the movies, we kind of know Elizabeth, Aunt Elizabeth disappears.
Right.
It's Elizabeth and Wynne. But in the books, they go to, I think it's like the Yukon Territory, the Northwestern Territories or whatever.
Right.
And she befriends, I think, Native Americans up there and all of this. And she does teach up there. But that is a callback to Aunt Elizabeth and her story. So
I love
actually
that.
kind of a crafty way for Elizabeth to incorporate that to catch Billy in that lie.
She's a smart cookie.
Yes, she is.
If only she had been smart a little sooner, you know.
Bless her heart. She can only do so
we
much.
wouldn't have a story, you know. If she was smart sooner, then we wouldn't have a story.
Yeah, and I mean,
she's young.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Caroline. I mean, Elizabeth is still so young, and
yes,
I think that's one thing I've forgotten is watching her in seasons now. She's a completely different person.
She is.
She's very much, I mean, you know, and obviously that's a great thing because we don't want a character to stay stagnant, but she is very mature now. Whereas back then, season 1, she's still wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, very naive, very like, you know, still trying to find her way in the world, still very, very stubborn. You know, it's just interesting to see how her character has grown over the course of the last 7 seasons. But anyways, Billy Hamilton, farewell.
Bye, Billy.
Bye, Billy.
And it's bye very dramatically. I mean, Jack pulls him down from the horse in the middle of the night and punches him out. Just bam!
He takes them out, and we find out too
he don't play.
He don't play.
Nope.
But the look on Billy's face, seeing Elizabeth behind Jack, that was golden.
Well, and what's funny is up until the very last moment, Billy is keeping that arrogance. You know, he's saying, you can tell he's panicking.
Yeah.
You can tell he's panicking, but he keeps that arrogance. I bought this horse fair and square. There ain't nothing illegal about courting a pretty girl. Yeah, but then he says, how about a car? And Jack remains so level-headed right here.
Yeah.
So level-headed. And how about a carpetbagger courting a pretty rich girl for her family's money? Well, she'd have to be rich, and that ain't the case anymore. You know, I mean, he stays arrogant until that very last moment. And then when he charges him, he is sure that because he's up on that horse and Jack is down on the ground, that he has him. And that ain't the case no more.
And we find out that Elizabeth contacts Julie, her sister, and Billy was fired for stealing at the shipyard in Cape Fullerton. And this all came out around the time that the society papers were talking about rich heiress goes west. So that's how Billy knew about Elizabeth and her family and who she was and all of this. So,
and where she was headed.
Yeah.
Smart guy.
Billy Hamilton is shipped off to goodness knows where, but he's no longer in Coal Valley anymore. So bye-bye, Billy.
He's probably still in a Cape Fullerton jail.
Yeah, or maybe up in Medicine Hat with all the other
Medicine Hat prison. Chained to a wall for the rest of his miserable life.
So the final storyline that we need to wrap up is the story of Carla. So Carla has been in labor now for a whole episode, and now she's still in labor for this episode.
Oh my gosh.
The doctor's not back yet. They don't have a midwife. Elizabeth, had asked her father to send her the medical book. Carla says she does not want a midwife in a book. She wants a actual
real one,
which, I mean, I understand that.
Oh yeah,
to a degree, but at the same time, there's been this is 1910, and there have been several women that have had babies. So
also true. Yeah.
So in my mind, and she's already had a son. So like, first pregnancy, I could totally understand being like, I need a real doctor here. But second pregnancy, I think I would be like, listen, Abigail, you are never leaving my side. You are going to stay right here until I have these babies. Just because, like, I don't know, there's something about other women and other moms that can, like, help you through these things. But anyways, Carla, she is basically in labor this entire episode.
Yeah.
She is panicking. Everybody's panicking because she says she's only 7 or so months. And again, this is 1910.
Babies do not survive
premature babies. That they're very, very, yeah.
I was born at 7 months, so like, but that was 1990, so
yeah. And you were a triplet. And I know, and
so multiple.
Yeah, and multiples tend to come early too.
Yeah,
earlier than normal. But people are very worried about Carla going into labor because there's a risk for the babies. There's also a risk for her.
Big time.
When she said she didn't want to die, I'm like, oh, Carla. I'm like, made me want to cry.
I know.
Jill Morrison's emotional performance this entire episode. I mean, she was incredible, and she's never given birth in real life. And watching this episode, you never know. You would never know.
Yeah, her performance is amazing. And I mean, you all know that I'm terrible at recognizing actors in different movies. I mentioned last time.
It took her a while.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out Andrew Walker was Billy Hamilton. But okay, same with Jill Morrison, because in Signed, Sealed, Delivered as Hazel, and like there's another one, Baby Boot Camp, where she plays with Kavin Smith.
Yeah.
She's so funny. She's hysterical, and she
has great comedic timing.
She's hysterical, but this is not a funny character in When Calls the Heart. I mean, this is a very emotionally driven character, and she's gone through a lot. She's going through labor. I mean,
without her husband,
she doesn't have a husband. I mean, there's a lot. There, like, props to Jill, man, because she can really hammer all the emotions, like funny and dramatic. It's pretty incredible.
Well, and when somebody can enact something as painful and traumatic and dramatic as childbirth without ever giving birth themselves, that is one of the marks of true talent. I mean, because there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of discomfort. There's a lot of emotional wreckage that comes with giving birth. And we see a little bit of that with Elizabeth later on, but not even Elizabeth went through as much on the screen as Carla does here. We see a lot more of Carla's discomfort and the trauma of giving birth to twins. And so, yeah, that, I mean, for her to give such a convincing performance of something that she has never gone through, that is so physically and emotionally dramatic and draining, it's incredible. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we discover she has not just one baby.
She's not done yet. When Abigail says she's not done yet, I went, oh my word. I mean, I knew that twins were in there because of all the talk about her size, but still, just when she said she's not done yet, I went,
oh man. But Carlos delivers twins safely. But before we get too far, before we wrap it up, we do have to talk about a couple things that happened during the labor process that have nothing to do with Carla.
But it's because of her. This is what I love, is it's because of the fact that she's in labor that people are able to stop by and these conversations are able to happen. She's a catalyst for that, which is really great.
Yep. So before Carla delivers the twins, Jack stops by. It's the next day after he wrongfully accuses Billy of stealing. And he asks Elizabeth to talk. And it made me kind of giggle a little bit when she's like, not inside. I'm like, trust me, you do not want to go inside right now.
And when Kat walks away so awkwardly, when Jack says, I have something to say to you. And Kat just looks between them and just walks away.
They know. They're so smart.
Everybody knows that Jack knows the type of thing.
And you
They're
think
bad liars.
I should not be laughing right now, but you can't help but laugh.
But here, Jack apologizes to Elizabeth. And I feel like this is the first time that we see Jack kind of humble himself in that sense for Elizabeth. I mean,
second, I think, because remember when he's talking Latin to her, so intriguing to talk Latin. But when he's talking in Latin to her, he's saying, "You proved me ero."
Yeah, but I mean, that's like, I don't know. That's like, okay,
more
a different.
He's apologizing. He's apologizing, but it's a little bit lighter and it's a little bit more on the flirty side.
In this situation, when he apologizes to her, it's emotional because he hurt her emotionally. Like when she looks at him the night before and she's like, is that what you think of me? And that was like a punch to the gut to Jack.
Oh, huge.
You can see his face. Like I messed up.
I mean, seriously though, that's the first time that you see Jack get emotional, you know, and truly downtrodden. And he is, I mean, he might as well have been on his knees begging Elizabeth for forgiveness with the tone in his voice. Just, oh man.
And then the one thing too is he doesn't just say like, I'm so sorry. He also says, I hope you find it in your heart to forgive me. And that just speaks miles of his character, because it's one thing to say that you're sorry. It's another thing to ask forgiveness and
be humble.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
did you hear the music in the background during this part?
Yeah, that was so good. Yeah.
It's a clarinet, and it's such a sad, it's a single clarinet, and it's such a sad, lonely sound that you just, I mean, I am such a believer in how much music adds.
Right.
To, and boy, did it add. It's just like, okay, I need a hanky.
Another thing in this moment too is while Jack is very remorseful Elizabeth is still too proud to really acknowledge it completely, because now her pride is wounded.
Well,
Because
and
she
this
just heard the red rose thing.
this is the
from Robert
moment
Burns.
after. Yeah.
Right. Because it's almost like she's so proud that she just brushes it aside and she's like, I need to move past this. Like, I can't admit it. I can't admit you're right. And I can't acknowledge your apology because I'm still too proud because I've been caught now.
Right.
You know, because now she's realizing that all this time she's like, how dare you, Jack? How dare you? How dare you? Why did you accuse Billy? Billy. She's defending him.
Smiling.
Yeah, she's like kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say she's attacked Jack, but she's really just stood up for Billy this whole entire time. Jack is now apologizing to her, which is what she's wanted. But now it's almost like in her mind, she's like, did I really want him to apologize to me? Because now I know that he was right. And he was doing all of this because he was worried about me, you know? But it's not until she confronts Billy and then everything is confirmed. And then she goes at the end of the episode and she talks with Jack about it. And now they're on the even playing field. But at the very end, after the babies have been born and the two of them are holding the twins.
Oh my gosh. That
melted.
At that moment, I think I almost fainted. It's a good, because I was pregnant at the time when I saw this. So good thing I was laying on the couch, but I mean, my hand literally went to my heart, as cheesy as it sounds. He's holding a baby. They're holding babies. You know, it's just sweetest scene.
So sweet.
I know.
So sweet. But that aside too, that's the moment that Elizabeth comes to it and she apologizes to Jack. But you know, he's basically like, you know what? Water under the bridge at this point. But
yeah, he doesn't even let her finish.
Yeah,
He doesn't even let her finish the apology.
Oh, Jack.
But it's almost like we're building up to something. Like we're overcoming all these obstacles, all these communication issues. They're starting to really find their way to common ground here.
Yep.
But it's just a really sweet way to end the episode. With both of them finally back on common ground. Because again, it's this push and pull with their relationship over the last 6 episodes now. With all these communication gaps and these personality clashes and all of this strife. But now they're holding babies on common ground.
I was about to say they're on common ground, and it doesn't hurt that they're both holding adorable babies.
I know.
It's just so cute. You're like, I want them to have babies together.
So next week we will have Jill Morrison on the podcast. So that's exciting. We get to hear a little bit more about her and When Calls the Heart. And then we dive into episode 7, which is
one of my favorites.
I love this episode.
Second Chances. So that'll be something to look forward to, Hearties. Alrighty, guys. Before we wrap it up for the evening, I got some trivia for you.
Oh boy.
All right, we'll start off easy because Cammie already stole this one. But what was Florence's cake?
Red velvet. Thank you, Cammie.
I sorry.
What is the name of one of Florence's 3 children?
Paul Jr.
Good job. Whose silver candlesticks were stolen?
Marta Crocker's.
Oh, snap.
What kind of pie did Mary serve?
Blackberry.
That's correct. And Sam hurt and broke the wrist of this person in arm wrestling.
Arnie Jacobs.
Oh,
snap.
Okay.
Good job, you guys.
We don't play.
We don't play.
Yeah, pay attention to all those details. I will say I was sitting on my swing outside and it was really sunny, so the screen was really dark, and then my 3-year-old was like over my legs, like staring at the screen. So I was like really hard trying to get trivia. And then she's also asking me questions. She's like, is that girl crying, Mama?
Oh,
Is he gonna cry too? And I'm like, what?
that's cute.
Alrighty, Hearties, we will see you back next week. Make sure you share our episode, share our social media, find us on Twitter and Instagram, and follow us there. And don't forget, Hearties, as soon as we get to 1,000 subscribers on both of our YouTube and on audio podcast, we will do a really big giveaway. So keep sharing, keep following, and we will see you next week.